Yeah, tornado warning just issued for portions of Creek and Okfuskee County. This is in effect until 6:15 this morning. So the current rotation right now, just near the Boley area. I've been tracking these storms as we've been going through this morning, and did look like we were going to have some rotation in some of these storms. I'm just switching workspaces real quick here. All right, tornado warning. You see these storms have been coming out of central Oklahoma. As we pause things, I'll go ahead and zoom in again. Tornado warning, Creek and Okfuskee County, 6:15 this morning. The current rotation closer into Okfuskee County. This is going to be near the Boley area. This is extending off to the northeast, going to be approaching Welty, Highway 48 here soon. As we put a track on this, again, rotation pretty close to Highway 62 here as we bring this forward. We're going to be getting into the Welty area closer to 6:10. Okfuskee closer to 6:30, Edna 6:45. And if this were to continue, we'd be looking at the Hectorville area after that, and eventually possibly southern portions of Tulsa County. So as we clear that off, I'm going to get a quick look at velocity, see what we're working with. Yep, here is our rotation. Let me zoom that in just a little bit more and we'll get a clearer location of where our rotation is. So again, this is just north of Highway 62. This is our rotation. Here's Payton, here's Prague, so we're past the Prague area, closer to Payton. We're going to be, again, continuing off to the northeast. So this rotation definitely starting to tighten up. It looks like we may have another smaller area of rotation closer to the Arlington area. We can check to see if we're picking up on any debris, and it doesn't look like we're seeing that right now. Some of the storms earlier this morning did have some debris being picked up with that, so we are keeping a very close eye. Thankfully, this morning, a lot of what we're going to be seeing is quick spin-up tornadoes. In these types of scenarios where you get those quick spin-ups along a larger line, it is pretty quick. They don't typically last as long. So again, this tornado warning just crossed over from the Prague area near Boley, coming into Welty, Okemah Lake. Looks like there was another severe thunderstorm warning issued just to the north too. Our big picture, this line of storms that's been moving out of central Oklahoma has been expanding northward, and this line has been what we've been concerned about this morning, bringing us the highest potential of severe weather. We have severe thunderstorm warnings now issued all across Creek County, Okfuskee County, Hughes County too, and a lot of the rotations that we've been seeing has been in this section of the line that has started pretty close to Norman and Moore, started off just as strong winds, eventually developed a tornado just as it was crossing I-40, and then that rotation has just kind of cycled as it's come closer and closer to us. So again, let's do another track on that. I want to give you an updated look with a bigger picture. We have our rotation just north of Highway 62. Now, if we were to continue to see this come a little closer to Tulsa, Haydenville 625, Okfuskee 631, Slick 646, Beggs closer to 7 o'clock. And again, it may cycle, it may not stay real tight with that rotation. Mounds may be closer to 725. All right, we'll clear that off, come in closer again, get a check of the rotation, see if we've gotten an update with that. This rotation is currently in Okfuskee County, but the tornado warning extends across a large portion of Okfuskee County and into Creek County too. Boley, Welty, if you are along Highway 48 anywhere in Okfuskee County or Southern Creek County, you need to be going ahead and taking your tornado precautions now. If you are closer into Boley, you need to be doing that immediately. Again, rotation here starting to actually weaken just a little bit more north of 62, kind of north of the Boley area. So this is going to be heading a little more directly toward the Welty area right along Highway 48. Another quick check, see if we're picking up on anything. Still not seeing any debris. Again, we're going to be checking that on and off as we go through the morning hours. Just kind of checking because these can happen real fast. They can tighten up in just a few minutes, put down a tornado, and then pick right back up. So our Doppler radar, this is our only tornado warning in our viewing area. There are severe thunderstorm warnings elsewhere. Creek County, Okfuskee County, Hughes County too, Tulsa. If you're hearing thunder and seeing lightning, we are not having anything severe right now in the Tulsa metro, but as this line approaches, we do have the potential for that. Now, quick look, I do want to show you this. Just a little bit ago, we had a severe thunderstorm watch across central Oklahoma earlier this morning. We have now had a tornado watch issued for a large portion of eastern Oklahoma until 11 a.m. So we have to watch this entire line cross all the way across eastern Oklahoma before we are in the clear. And remember, there's another round that looks possible as we get into this evening too. We're dealing with our morning round. We will probably reset the atmosphere in the afternoon. and then deal with another round of storms later on. All right, back to the Fox 23 Doppler radar again. One tornado warning currently over Creek County and Okfuskee County as the line approaches green country. Elsewhere, scattered storms, but not severe. All right, let's come back in a little bit closer to our tornado warning. Again, this is Creek and Okfuskee County. This is moving to the north generally at about 25 to 30 miles per hour. Our rotation on this has not been extremely tight, but it has been enough to be concerning enough to issue a tornado warning with this. So Welty, again, you're kind of right in the bullseye of that. We'll put the velocity back on. Here's our rotation, so I can mark that for you a little clearer. Just to the west of Highway 48. This is a far northwestern Okfuskee County, so we're going to be crossing into Creek County here in just a few minutes. We'll do another track on this too. Again, tornado warning. This is going to be moving to the northeast about 25, 30 miles per hour. Welty, again, you are kind of right in the path of this, and if we were to see this strengthen up, you would be in the direct path. 5:52 is the time frame that we're looking at for Welty. Going forward into Creek County, closer to Slick, your timing is going to be 6:09. And again, if we do see this getting closer to the Tulsa Metro, probably closer to 6:30, 6:45, before the 7 o'clock hour. Thankfully, right now, it doesn't look like things are too organized right now. Again, these are the types of situations that it can form really quickly, tighten up real quick, and then it can lose that strength as well pretty quickly. So quick spin up tornadoes, very possible as we go through this morning. That's kind of what we're dealing with this morning, is monitoring that situation happening. We do have Chief Meteorologist James Adelot also in the building this morning because we were anticipating the possibility of this. James, what are you seeing?
Yeah, it looks like the same thing, kind of watching those two areas of rotation, basically in parts of Okfuskee County right now. As we watch this loop, you can see that tornado warning does get up into parts of southern Creek County, but outside the polygon, Bristow, kind of watchful waiting here. But this has been a pretty tight circulation. Let's stop the motion, and as we zoom right into this storm, what we're looking at is the rotation between Welty and Prague, and as we go over to velocity, we'll be able to pinpoint that for you. So one area of rotation just to the west of Welty. This is well northwest of Okima right now. This is moving to the northeast quickly. We'll cross Highway 48 very close to Welty between Bristow and Welty, and eventually on up toward Slick. That's well outside the tornado warning polygon. We're watchfully waiting there. Another area of rotation in southwestern parts of Creek County that Laura pointed out just a couple of minutes ago too. Let me expand that view. We'll do a couple of tracks on both of these areas of rotation. I'll kick back over to conventional radar here. And again, rotation number one, moving to the northeast, and this thing's moving pretty quickly now, so we're going to take it about 40 miles per hour. If this holds together or re-strengthens and produces another rotation strong enough to generate a tornado, we're talking the Slick area on Highway 16 between Beggs and Bristow by about 6:10, as that tornado warning does continue until 6:15. Now, the other area of circulation is located in parts of southwestern Creek County, and as that moves to the northeast, could be close to Depew just after 6 o'clock in the morning, and eventually toward the community of Pulaski. Now, metro area, we have no imminent severe weather, at least over about the next 30 to 45 minutes, as we watch the Creek County and Okfuskee County storm get closer. What we're seeing and hearing with the thunder and lightning, strong thunderstorms in parts of the northern area of the metro area, between Skiatook, Collinsville, and on up into parts of Nowata County, not severe. Also Delaware County, not severe. But if you are in a mobile home in Tulsa County, now's the time to find a more substantial safe shelter from Tulsa County all the way into Okmulgee County, because as this line of thunderstorms moves to the east, it will produce very strong straight line winds in addition to this spin-up tornado threat. On the wide view, we still have this tornado watch. That's the new tornado watch that Laura was talking about. This is in effect until 11 o'clock in the morning. We have our one tornado warning for southern Creek County and northwestern Okfuskee County. It does not include Okima, but the tornado warning is in effect. Now, let's take another look as we see that animation. I'll stop the animation. We'll add the correlation coefficient as we try to see if there's any debris being lofted by this. It's a long way away from the radar site. Not seeing any debris being lofted from this particular radar site. let me take a little step back from this. We're going to go back to the west just a little bit, and we'll get that radar sight switched that way. Go back to velocity. Now we'll zoom back into the storm. So we're getting a little different vantage point here. Not only the rotation that's not as strong in southwestern Creek County, but the other rotation that's approaching the Creek and Okfuskee County line. Remember, Okemah, you're outside the tornado warning polygon. Bristow, you're outside the tornado warning polygon. The best course of action here is watchful waiting. But that is our rotation number one here just to the west of Welty. The other one basically in southwestern parts of Creek County. We can take a little closer look at that, and as we zoom in, we'll get some more landmarks appearing. And what we're seeing is one rotation that's just southwest of the Depew area. The other rotation certainly looks a little weaker, thankfully, and it's west of Welty. That's continuing to move toward the northeast, too. So the tornado warning remains in effect. No confirmation that we've had a tornado down with this storm, but continue to watch this closely. And once one of these thunderstorms starts to spin strongly enough to produce a tornado warning, they often continue doing that unless other parameters change. It does not look like that's going to change significantly the whole atmosphere ahead of this storm. So we're going to keep that tornado warning going and the threat of additional tornado warnings in advance of this line. As we, again, expand the view, I want to take a wide view just to give everybody south of Tulsa a heads up of what's on the way, too, because this is a pretty strong cluster of storms that's rolled out of central parts of Oklahoma, and you can see all the way down toward McAllister right now. We can do a track on some of these storms, and I'm going to go ahead and animate that too. You can see the whole line of storms is moving to the northeast, and as a severe thunderstorm warning line, we'll take this into parts of Hughes County and move it to the northeast at about 45 miles per hour. Heads up, Henrietta, 605, Colton, Grayson, Arpaler, Lena, maybe Calvin by 555 as well. But one tornado warning, northern parts of Okfuskee County and southwestern Creek County, that's going to be in effect until 6:15. So at least continuous coverage until 6:15, or if that warning gets dropped early, we jump into the metro area. First, another update on our tornado warned storm. Let's take, again, a look at velocity, and it's still evident that we've got that circulation just to the west of Welty. So southern parts of Creek County, all the way east to Welty, that's where you need to take your tornado warning precautions. That means go to the lowest level, center part, smallest room of your home. As we continue to watch that circulation move in right along the Creek and Okfuskee County line. The other thing to note about this is that circulation is probably embedded in rain, so if you're counting on some sort of visual clue like a funnel cloud or seeing a tornado, you're probably not going to with this setup. It looks like that circulation is back in some of the heavy rain, so there'll be little visual warning. So count on looking at radar here. So Doppler radar still indicating that rotation. As we take a look again, just to the west of Welty, our circulation is right along the Creek County line and Okfuskee County line right now. No evidence, thankfully, that we have any debris being lofted in that storm yet either, but the tornado watch remains in effect. Basically along and south of Highway 412, our radio partners on KRMG joining us right now as they roll into storm center coverage as well. So watching the storm moving into southern parts of Creek County, it is staying to the south of Bristow and to the north of Okemah, but on its current track will be getting closer to parts of the metro area as we watch closely from Sapulpa down towards Slick. And if this rotating part of the thunderstorm continues on, as Laura gave you that early heads up just a few minutes ago, we're talking moving into south parts of the metro area. So heads up in Slick and Beggs, and probably on up toward Hectorville and Glenpool, Liberty Mounds, Kiefer, Bixby, Jinx. If this holds together, it's going to be coming up into the southern parts of the metro area. So we'll continue to watch this closely. Our team coverage continues right now with Fox 23 meteorologist Laura Mock. And Laura, it does look like that circulation may have weakened just a little bit. But again, once they form, we're really watching those closely.
I mean, this same circulation that we're tracking right now really started all the way back at I-35 in Norman and Moore. We do have a tornado watch now in effect for a large portion of eastern Oklahoma until 11 a.m. You're going to be seeing that information as well as the severe thunderstorm and tornado warning information scrolling at the bottom of your screen too. Now, as we come back to our Fox 23 Doppler radar, our tornado warning, again, still in effect until 6:15. This is Okfuskee and Creek counties. The rest of the area, most of what we've been seeing has just been scattered storms. We're waiting on this main line to head our direction, and that's really what we're dealing with at the moment is the strongest activity along this main line, and that is continuing off to the northeast. So this is going to be affecting areas basically Tulsa Metro and south as you take a look at the general path of this. So we're kind of right through Creek County, Okfuskee County, into Hughes County too. We're going to be bringing this off to the northeast for a bit. Eventually getting into, this is just the entire line. Henrietta, closer to 623, McAllister, closer to 645, and then we're getting into southeastern portions of the Tulsa Metro just before 7 o'clock. So let's pause the radar, come in closer to our tornado warning. Creek, Okfuskee counties until 6:15. The Weather Service was also noting that both of the rotations looked like they had weakened just a few minutes ago, but still we have to be vigilant with this because in these scenarios, sure, they can weaken at one moment, but then the next moment they could be strengthening up again. Our main line right here, approaching the Bristow area, coming into Welty, Okfuskee County too. Quick look at the velocity. And it's not a very clear image anymore at where we're seeing those rotations. So if I were to bring this back in time just a little bit, you'd be able to track where those have been coming from. So you see that rotation just on the west side of Welty, and also another rotation south side of Creek County. All right, so our one rotation, Creek County, that's going to be right about here. You can still make out a little bit of red and green, and there it's not a very strong rotation still. Another rotation just on the north side of Welty. Thankfully, it has not looked like we've had any confirmed tornadoes with this, but we still have to be vigilant. If you are in this tornado warning, especially ahead of the tornado warning too, you want to be taking your tornado precautions pretty soon here. Bristow, you have strong storm coming in with the potential of rotation. So if you have a good safe place you can get to, wouldn't be a bad idea to go ahead and do that. Lower level of your home, inside room, away from windows. And if you have to walk away from your TV, don't forget that you can take the Fox 23 weather app with you and watch us there as we give you this information. As for our tornado warning, we have that rotation just north of Welty. That's continuing off to the northeast, as James was just giving early heads up. If we were to see this continue to cycle, Beggs, Liberty Mounds area, eventually toward Glenpool, south side of the Tulsa Metro, maybe even northern portions of Okmulgee here as the storm continues. But again, the velocity on this has not been quite as tight. We have one here, and we can do a quick track on this, giving us an early heads up. Here's one of the rotations, and if we were to bring this forward, I'm going to have to reset the view here. So give me just a second while I zoom out just a bit, and that's going to give us a better view of the storm track here. So our main rotation that we were watching inside the tornado warning, this is just north of Welty. If we were to continue this off to the northeast at a pretty quick pace, we'd be into the Dentonville area at 6:15, Mounds just before 6:30, Glenpool closer to 6:30. So we have a tornado warning on this right now. It still looks like it's been weakening. Now keep in mind, there's another area of rotation that we're watching just outside of the tornado warning. And if we were to bring this to the northeast, we're going to be seeing that one come into the Pulaski area just before 6 o'clock. Bristow right at 6 o'clock. Hayburn 6:10. Kellyville possibly 6:16. So we are carefully watching all of these storms, all the sections of this line of storms as they continue to move closer and closer to us. Now earlier I was noting another small area of rotation possibly closer down to the Ada area or even just north of that. Haven't had any tornado warnings issued with that, but that's going to be the potential going east. Pittsburgh County, McIntosh County, we may still have some rotations try and get going as this entire line continues to move east. So still just one tornado warning in effect. We still have about 20 minutes to go on that. Let's see, have we gotten any updates from the National Weather Service on that? No, not really seeing anything. So not a whole lot has changed. If we don't get any updates from them, that means they're not seeing anything new, which is good for us. We always like to keep an eye on that. Again, Tulsa Metro, no warnings currently in effect, but there is a severe thunderstorm warning just on the southwest side of town in Creek County, including Bristow, approaching the Kellyville area. That tornado warning still Creek, southern side of Creek, and northern portions of Okfuskee County, with the trajectory taking it into northern Okmulgee County and southern Tulsa County. But this entire line at this point has severe thunderstorm warnings all along it. So if you are ahead of this line of storms, expect strong activity to be coming in. All right, it's been a little bit since we've come in and checked on our rotation. Every couple minutes, it's good to do so. So as we come in closer, go ahead and stop all right, new tornado warning. So, all right, I see what they're doing. They are including that second rotation that was in closer to Bristow, and they are also still including the rotation that was closer to Welty. This extends now over Bristow, larger portions of Creek County. This takes it all the way to Sapulpa, takes it into northern Okmulgee County, just barely skirting by the city of Okmulgee. This does not quite bring it into the Tulsa Metro, but this is close. So let's clear that off, get another check of the velocity. Again, with these types of storms, they can strengthen really quick and weaken really quick too. So we could have some rotations really at any point along this line. I'm thinking the strongest one right now is pretty close to Bristow. So what we're looking for is the bright reds and greens right next to each other. So if you are in this tornado warning, actually before I zoom in here real quick, if you are included in this tornado warning, so all of those places that I just mentioned, Bristow, Manford, even up towards Sapulpa, Okmulgee, anywhere pretty much in southern Creek County, you need to be taking your tornado precautions now. We're talking lowest level of your home, interior room, away from windows, and if you have to walk away from your TV, take your phone with you. Hopefully it's charged from the overnight hours, and you can watch us on the Fox 23 News or weather app, and that way you can get your information still while you are in your shelter. All right, now we can zoom in just a little bit more, and again, we're seeing a couple areas of rotation, looking like one possibly closer to the Drum Right area. We have another very weak rotation closer to Bristow. This is on the northwest side of Bristow, and we're still also watching areas south of that from our original tornado warning. That would be closer to Welty. Again, still looking kind of messy, so it doesn't look like any one of these is sticking out like a sore thumb, but we have the potential for tornadoes pretty much all along this line as it approaches and gets closer to the Tulsa Metro. We still have Chief Meteorologist James Adelot here, so we're going to continue our Fox 23 team coverage, tracking the storms as they move through.
As we look into that Creek County storm, as Laura said, with that new expanded tornado warning right now, this does get right up into Sapulpa, Kiefer, Mounds. It also includes Beggs and New Yucca, Twin Lakes, and west of Okmulgee, the state park, including Okmulgee as well. And this does clip Okemah, but the main circulations now have passed Okemah. As Laura said, we're watching some weak rotations in here, but weak rotations are still rotations, and as we've tried to kind of message you that these weak rotations can spin up much faster in a very short amount of time. So kind of a preemptive shot at these tornado warnings. One rotation that's kind of new that's popped up on the north side of this tornado warning that I've looked at. This is northwest of Bristow, and this one looks like it's right along Highway 33 and close to Drum Right, between Drum Right and the intersection here between 33 and Highway 48. So if this holds together, this is going to be moving up close to the Freedom Hill Fire Department and possibly looking at Manford and western parts of Tulsa County.
Our Fox 23 reporter Jenna James is in Sapulpa right now, and she is confirming she is hearing sirens there. Okay,
tornado sirens are sounding in Sapulpa. And early heads up, if you are in Tulsa, Jenks, Sand Springs, Prattville, Glenpool, be ready because this system is coming our way, and we're looking, if this thing's moving at about 50 miles per hour, it won't be long before that moves up into parts of Tulsa County, prompting an extension of this warning. First track I want to give you is on this rotation just in the Manford area. As this moves to the basically east-northeast, close to 50 miles per hour. As we talked about, Freedom Hill Fire Department 611, Keystone Fire Department 621, Keystone State Park, and the dam at 623. There's the Ancient Forest at 627, Sapulpa, Sand Springs, and Prattville by 633, Berry Hill just to the west of Tulsa, and the refineries at about 635. The other circulation that we have noted just to the north of Bristow, and as that moves to the northeast, and again, we'll give you that track here. Again, moving to the northeast, and we'll keep this moving at about 40 to 50 miles per hour. It does not look at this point like a tornado is imminent, but it's close. Bellevue, Hayburn Park, there's Kellyville, Sapulpa by 629. If it holds together, we're looking at Kiefer, Prattville, and Glenpool too. Let me take that back off. We'll go back to conventional radar for you, and there's that tornado warning polygon. There are no warnings in effect for the city of Tulsa, and we're kind of on the north edge of this whole area of thunderstorms, but we're still going to be affected by this in the city. What we have falling right now in Mays, Rogers County, and up into Nowata County, nothing severe here, but we're watching this cluster of thunderstorms continue to move toward the east, 45 miles per hour, and you can see the edge of the tornado warning polygon gets up right into that border between Creek and Tulsa County. We have a tornado watch that is in effect until 11 o'clock in the morning, but of course our biggest concern in that tornado warning polygon in parts of Creek County right now. Let's go further south. What's moving into parts of Hughes County is severe and likely contains some really strong wind, and as that moves to the northeast, we'll have to watch for any kind of spin-up tornadoes along the leading edge of it too. But for now, the only tornado warnings that we have are in Creek County and Okfuskee County and Okmulgee County too. I'll stop the animation and let's do a track on the leading edge of this line outside the tornado warning polygon where gusty winds 60 to 70 miles per hour are going to be the main threat. As this moves to the northeast, close to Waletka and Calvin over the next few minutes, there's the Henrietta Airport and Henrietta by 6:16, Dewar just after that, of course, Vernon and Hanna by 6:30 to 6:37. All eyes on that tornado warning polygon, though, so let's take a close-in view of it and into the city of Tulsa right now. We've got cameras looking west, too, from Jinx as this comes our way. Let's check in with Laura.
Yeah, just heard from meteorologist Mike Grogan saying that he's hearing sirens in South Tulsa, so they may be doing a preemptive siren ahead of these storms coming closer and closer to the metro. We still have 2 tornado warnings currently in effect. We should see the back one here come off the map here pretty soon. The main one that we're focused on is across Creek, Okmulgee, and approaching Tulsa County. It looks like we just got a new severe thunderstorm warning here. We'll check in on that. So that's going to be this section here between Okmulgee, Henrietta, stretching south into portions of McIntosh County too. Really what this tells us is they're not seeing any rotation in this small section of the storm, but just to the north of it, that is where we are continuing to see signs of rotation. I know this looks really messy on the radar. These are not the types of storms where you're going to see that clear hook that you imagine when you think of tornado warnings. This is going to be very messy. We have a couple areas of rotation, and they're kind of mixed in here along the tornado warning. Tornado warning goes until 6:30, again, approaching the Tulsa metro. Let me zoom this out just a little bit more, and I'm going to do a storm track and take it into the Tulsa area just so you have an early heads up on about what time this is expected to get to you. So yeah, we'll do that one right there. And just the leading edge of it, I'm not going to try and get too detailed on it. As we move to the northeast, approaching Tulsa County, Okmulgee 610, Sapulpa 618, Sand Springs 623. We are into downtown Tulsa, closer to 630, Broken Arrow 642, Coweta 647. So as the storm approaches the Tulsa metro, we very well may see more circulations with this storm, possibility for more tornado warnings issued downstream. But again, Tulsa right now is not in the tornado warning. This is over Creek, Okfuskee, and Okmulgee counties. Let's come in again just a little bit more, get a quick check of velocity. And it looks like we have a rotation here closer to 33, just west of Sapulpa, north of Bristow. We have another small rotation just on the north side of the turnpike there, north of Bristow. So that's also kind of just past Highway 48 here. Looks like this is going to be tracking close to the turnpike as it approaches Sapulpa. And then south of that, it looks like we've lost some of that rotation. So it looks like our focus is on the northern half of this tornado warning, which would put it more directly tracking closer and closer to Tulsa. So again, we're getting closer to the Tulsa metro. If you are in this tornado warning, Sapulpa, Manford, south of Sand Springs, the Berry Hill area, Mounds, you need to be taking your tornado precautions now before that possible rotation gets to you. Again, lowest level of your house, interior room, away from windows. And if you have your phone with you and it's charged, take it with you so you can watch the Fox 23 News or weather app and stream us there so you can still get your information. So these storms are starting to get a little bit closer to the Tulsa metro, and we're still holding on to at least some rotation with the storms. Chief Meteorologist James Adelot still tracking this with me.
Yeah, as we continue to watch, really focused right into Creek County and parts of Okfuskee and Okmulgee County for these tornado-warned storms, circulations are fairly fleeting. They're spinning up strong enough to produce and worry about a tornado down with them, and then they start to weaken again too. Let me stop the animation and zoom in here, because watching, as Laura said, from north to south in this tornado warning polygon, there are several swirls, basically, circulations. One just to the north of that tornado warning polygon, in fact. This is just southwest of Manford. If this holds together, it will be moving up to the north and northeast toward Manford. Let's do a track on this one as it moves northeast. Just as 15-minute tracks, because this is about as long as these things are lasting. They'll come back down and then spin back up again, too. So that's the track on this one. Let's clear this out and do a track further to the south, because this circulation north of Bristow actually looks quite a bit stronger. So as we watch this one move to the northeast, I'm going to give you a 30-minute track, because that's the one that's going to be most likely to affect the Tulsa metro area with a warning in the next few minutes. If you are in Tulsa, this is your early heads up. You need to be thinking about a safety plan instead of getting ready to go to school or work, because this cluster of thunderstorms will have tornado potential in the city. 624 Sapulpa, Prattville 628, Oakhurst 629, Berry Hill at about 632, Jinx and ORU. So we're getting into the southwestern part of the metro area here with that circulation if it holds together. That's what we're looking at here. Further to the south, I've noticed another circulation trying to form, and this, a little earlier, was northeast of Okemah, and it looks like that one's a little bit weaker now as it moves up into Okmulgee County. Still, though, with that tornado warning in effect, I'll show you where that was. Look just over in that northeastern corner of Okmulgee County with that circulation here. If this continues moving to the northeast, that could affect Dripping Springs State Park, Okmulgee, the Okmulgee Airport north of town toward Morris, Twin Hills area between 6:30 and 6:45. So it is a cluster of at least 3 circulations with this, all in that tornado warning as it gets a little bit closer to Tulsa. And I want to examine, we'll take a closer look at that strongest circulation that's just to the northeast of Bristow, closer to Kellyville and Lake Hayburn State Park. And we're going to come right in here. So Sapulpa, Kiefer, Mounds, let's put on velocities for you, because that's really going to help us see where that rotation is, and it's right in the Hayburn Park area. This is stronger than our prior circulations have been. Don't see any evidence as we look at dual pole Doppler radar that we have any debris being lofted up into the radar signal. So that's certainly a good sign, but what is very concerning is the strength of this rotation. So we're talking Highway 33, Hayburn Park area, Bristow, you're in the clear from this. We can give you the all clear as that circulation moves to the northeast. But we're looking at Oakhurst, Sapulpa. This is getting up into parts of southwestern Tulsa County. If this continues at the current strength it's at, I expect a new tornado warning to be issued that will include the city of Tulsa. Now, we do understand storm sirens have sounded in parts of the metro area, parts of the city of Tulsa. You can hear those storm sirens too, even though Tulsa is not officially in that tornado warning area. So it's the Hayburn State Park area where that rotation is the strongest, and that's continuing to move to the northeast. I want to give you an updated track on that too. And we'll take this track out and look We'll take this up to about 45 to 50 miles per hour. And again, these things are not lasting long, but they are spinning up strongly enough to warrant tornado warnings. Kellyville at 617, Sapulpa 625, Prattville 629, there's Oakhurst at 631, Berry Hill 633, Jinx at 635, ORU 639, downtown Tulsa, Midtown, Cherry Street area by about 639, there's Promenade Mall, Woodland Hills Mall at 642, Box 23 at about 644. The rotation is now clear of Bristow. We can give the all clear for Drumright and Bristow and for Okfuskee County too. Our KRMG partners are with us on the air right now as we continue to track this tornado warning in Creek County and in Okmulgee County, but wouldn't be surprised if Tulsa County gets tagged with a tornado warning soon. There's the cluster of thunderstorms right now, and as that moves toward the northeast, I want to give you just a general track here of the leading edge of the heavy rain and the gusty winds with this. This is not a tornado warning track. This is just the severe thunderstorm warning track when you can expect that big transition. We're looking into heavy rain and wind, of course, thunder and lightning too, and that's going to be rolling towards Sand Springs by 617. Again, this is not the circulation that we have the track on. Downtown Tulsa 628, Haskell 634, Broken Arrow, Lynn Lane area 640, Catoosa, Coweta, and toward Keatonville. Let's zoom right back into our tornado warning storm, and we'll take this north to south while meteorologist Laura Mock continues to look at radar 2 and get updated. I'm going to kick over to velocity. One of the issues we have with a situation like this is that these circulations are happening in the rain and in the heavy rain part of the storm. So not a lot of visual cues. We don't see big hooks or anything like that. But as we look south of Banford right now, there's kind of a broad circulation. This is going to be approaching the Keystone Fire Department. There's Keystone State Park. That's what we're looking at right here. So that's one circulation. Let's go further to the south and give a close look at our Hayburn circulation. That's going to be northwest of Kellyville. This is approaching Highway 33, the Turner Turnpike exit right here as you start into that, the widened part, 6-lane part of the turnpike. Let me look at correlation coefficient. And again, I don't see any sign at all that we have lofted debris, but this is a concerning rotation. This is much stronger than what we've seen over the last 15 minutes. So we're continuing to watch this one really closely. If this holds together, Sapulpa, Oakhurst, Prattville, Sand Springs, west side of the city of Tulsa. Let's go further to the south and along that leading edge, and don't see any circulations that are immediately apparent to me. There's our circulation that's west now of Okmulgee, close to Dripping Springs State Park. This one is a lot weaker. So the strongest one, at least for right now, and this is why we continue to watch all of these circulations, because they will spin up faster and then start to decrease. So it does look like this is going to pass as it moves to the northeast, very close to Prattville and Sapulpa. If you are in Prattville and Sapulpa, I'm recommending you take your tornado precautions right now. This is the strongest circulation we've seen in a while, and the conditions ahead of that circulation are certainly supportive of the fact that this will continue to have rotation with it and be at least the threat of a tornado. Let me give you a track on it as this moves to the northeast. So we're talking just to the northeast, passing to the north now of Kellyville, 30 to 35 minute track as this moves to the northeast. Gets us into Sapulpa and Prattville by 6:30, Oakhurst 6:31, Berry Hill 6:33. There's Riverside Airport and the Jinx area by 6:35. ORU, downtown Tulsa, Cherry Street, Brookside 6:40, Memorial High School, LaFortune Park, Key Elementary, Woodland Hills Mall between 6:41 and 6:43. There's the Fox 23 studio at 6:45. Tulsa International 6:48, St. John, Broken Arrow at 6:49. But that's the strongest circulation that we have right now. But you can kind of sense why we're having to divide and conquer and watch this closely all up and down that tornado warning area. But so far, that's been the strongest one. So all eyes continue to be on this circulation that is nearing Sapulpa. Let's take another really close view here. Again, it may not be any stronger, but it's certainly not much weaker as it moves north of Highway 33. You can see these bright greens here. If we would see a tornado produced with that storm, we're talking just to the west of Sapulpa. We'd put that mark for a potential tornado right along 241st West Avenue and Highway 33. If this continues moving to the northeast, that's going to be close to that heavy equipment company that's just right off the exit in Highway 44. So, yeah, again, let's see. Yeah, as we talked about further to the south, there's the new severe thunderstorm warning that will catch all of the city of Tulsa. Let me expand the view, and we'll take a look at the other circulations in this too, especially in parts of Okmulgee County. That's the one we were watching a few minutes ago as well, moving up from parts of Okfuskee County. Starting to pick up some brighter greens in here, so let's examine that too. We'll zoom right in here. Close to the Okmulgee area and getting some brighter greens. That's some stronger inbounds here on the south side of Okmulgee. So this circulation may be starting to increase just a little bit too. Still right on the edge of that tornado warning polygon. Let me give you updated tracks on both of our warnings, and then we'll send it right back over to Laura for an update from her. But I want to give you two updated storm tracks here. The first one, we're going to put on this circulation. It's just to the west of Sapulpa, moving to the northeast. A 30-minute track takes us up toward Jenks and Riverside Airport by 6:30 to 6:35. There's ORU downtown Tulsa. As we said, you're hitting some of the same locations with this circulation as it moves to the northeast. And then we look into the Okmulgee County storm as well, and we'll do a track on it just to the south of Okmulgee as that moves to the northeast. That could be moving up toward Okmulgee, the airport, Morris. There's Boynton, Jamesville, Haskell, toward the Spring Hill area too by 6:53. But it is worth noting that the extension of this warning into the metro area is a severe thunderstorm warning. So the circulation, while it continues strong and very much deserving our undivided attention, maybe just at or below the threshold of immediate spin up, but we're watching it closely, Laura.
Absolutely. The severe thunderstorm warning for Tulsa County goes until 7 a.m. this morning. And with this warning, even if you are not in a tornado warning, you have the possibility of wind gusts as high as 70 miles per hour. This is a strong storm moving into the Tulsa metro with the potential for quick spin-up tornadoes, which we've already seen the potential for this morning, and we still have one tornado warning currently in effect over Creek and Okmulgee counties just on the outside of Tulsa. Now, this warning goes until 6:30, but it is possible we see an extension into the Tulsa metro of a tornado warning with some of our stronger rotations. So that's what I want to do right now is zoom in and get a closer look at where we've been seeing those stronger rotations. One of those being really close to the Kellyville area with the just the radar view. You see the heavy rain coming past Kellyville into Sapulpa, coming into the west side of town now. And as we check velocity, we still have rotation just north of Kellyville. This is going to be kind of skirting just to the north of Sapulpa. So this may actually be tracking just between Sapulpa and Sand Springs. Sapulpa, if you're still listening to us this morning, you should be in your safe place right now until the worst of this storm passes. And then basically everyone from Sand Springs, Berry Hill, Jenks, Glenpool, you need to be basically on alert, already kind of getting prepared for the possibility of another tornado warning being issued for you. There's another radar update right there, and the rotation is still there. We haven't quite seen it increase or decrease. It's still just kind of holding on. So still has the potential of doing that. Now I want to zoom out again, and we're going to go look off to the south at another area.
Airport. That one's gotten stronger.
That's exactly where I was going to go next, and we're headed down to Okmulgee next. All right, right there, that's the one James is talking about. This is crossing 75. Here's our rotation. Okmulgee. I'm actually going to come in a little bit closer to this and get some more landmarks on there. So that's what he was saying. Here's Okmulgee Airport. We have a rotation here. This is included in that same tornado warning. It's just on the far south side. So if you're close to the Okmulgee Airport, I hope you are in your safe place because you don't have much time at this moment, as the rotation on that does look to be increasing. Not picking up on anything with correlation coefficient, but it is kind of a little bit far away from the radar. When you just take a look at reflectivity, you really can't make it out. You have to go look at the velocities, and what we're looking for is the red and the green right next to each other, pretty tight. So we've got the rotation just west of Okmulgee Airport. Let's zoom this out, and I'll do a track on this, taking it forward in time, and we're going to try and pick up on a couple cities and try and take it maybe all the way up to the Haskell area. So this is crossing Highway 75 probably right about now, and as we bring this forward into northern Muskogee County, it's not picking up on a lot. It's a little more of a rural area here in northeast Okmulgee County, but we've got Bald Hill being picked up closer to 6:30, and I can try and do another track and take it even farther and see if we can pick up on any more, and we do. Pumpkin Center closer to 6:36, Haskell closer to 6:45 if it were to hold together. The Spring Hill area just before 7 o'clock, Clarksville also just before 7 o'clock, Redbird included in that. So we've got this rotation here just west of the Okmulgee Airport. Looks like we got an update on that, so I'll clear it off, zoom in a little bit more, and then another weak rotation on the west side of the Tulsa Metro, and that's going to be just west of Sapulpa. So here we are, the rotation, still looking impressive right now. Reds and greens right next to each other. At this point, the circulation just over or just east of Highway 75, and we are approaching the end of that tornado warning, so we'll have to see if that gets extended. But if you're in the Bald Hill area, you need to be going ahead and taking your tornado precautions anyway, because this can spin up very quickly, as we have seen with other portions of the storms this morning. Now, that is concerning. We still don't have quite a tornado warning on it just yet, or an extension of one, but I still want to kind of go up to the north and get a check on some of the other ones. Looks like there may be a weak rotation south of Mounds coming into southern portions of Tulsa County. That would be headed toward the Bixby area. That is not very tight right now, but that is something to watch. And then you have that other rotation closer to Sapulpa. I'll go ahead and take a look at that again too, as that is affecting more of a populated area at the moment. So the rotation on this, if I'm not mistaken, actually looks a little bit weaker, which is good news. Not as strong here west of Sapulpa, so that is very good news. Looks like we're losing a lot of organization with that. That's exactly what we want going into a populated area. We don't want that to hold together. But so it looks like we've got that very, very weak sign of rotation closer to the Liberty, Winchester area. Let me reset the map here. Just a little bit more, and then we're going to do a full track. So we are starting to get the thunderstorms into the Tulsa Metro. Real quick, we can do a quick track on this. So we're already into Sand Springs, already into portions of Tulsa, the storm just on the south side of Bixby. This is the track just for the thunderstorm, not the tornado. This is the whole line of the thunderstorm. It's already in Jinx, already in Sand Springs, but we're going to be approaching downtown Tulsa here in just a few minutes. We're going to be closer to TCC Northeast, 635, Coweta, 644, eventually Port of Catoosa, 650, Verdigris area, closer to 654. That is for the entire line of the thunderstorm moving into the Tulsa Metro with gusts as high as 70 miles per hour possible. This is a severe thunderstorm warning across town with a possibility of some quick spin-ups at times, but right now it looks like that rotation has weakened quite a bit. That was moving into the Tulsa area, which is great news for us. So we're going to turn our attention down to the south, come back down into Okmulgee County, as that is where we were seeing increasing rotation north of Okmulgee. This is going to be going through northeastern Okmulgee County, so we're kind of right along Highway 16 here. We'll get a check of velocity again. Actually, quick look at the cameras. This is our Jinx camera facing off to the west, and we have a lot of lightning as the storm is moving through. You're going to have heavy winds, strong gusty winds as well. Let's take a look at back to velocity here. Here's the rotation, same one that we were tracking crossing Highway 75, passed right by Okmulgee Airport. This is, again, has not weakened, really has not strengthened enough, it seems, for the Weather Service to prompt a tornado warning on this, but we're still monitoring it very closely as it approaches Highway 16. There's another radar update still there. So we're not losing this rotation. This is going to be a spot to watch as it approaches Highway 52, possibly into the Haskell area here in just a little bit. So we'll zoom out real quick, get a kind of a big picture update on things. It looks like a lot of our rotations have started to come out of that tornado warning. Quick look at the reflectivity. Storms now coming into Tulsa, big severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Tulsa. And then we also have those storms continuing off to the south too, with the entire line included in severe thunderstorm warnings. So McAllister, you're probably going to get a severe thunderstorm warning here soon. Muskogee, Eufaula, expect severe thunderstorm warning at least here soon. In fact, there's one right there coming into Pittsburgh County. So this line continues real quick. We'll do track on that for the southern portion of the storm. I know we've been paying attention to the northern portion of the storm because that's where a lot of the tornado warnings have been. But let's check in on south of I-40 as this tracks to the east. We're going to be into the McAllister area at 6:55, Porham 7:18, Stigler by 7:35. So thankfully, it looks like the rotation, at least last time I checked for the Tulsa Metro, has started to weaken. We're still kind of on high alert right now. Chief Meteorologist James Adelot still here tracking the storms with me, and we still have a few spots that need to be monitored.
Yeah, what's moving into Tulsa right now, as you said, the circulations are weaker, but we can still identify them, so we're watching them very closely just in case they spin up. Now, as these lines of storms move progressively further east, the atmosphere is a little less productive as far as generating circulations because of the rain that we saw yesterday evening. Helped stabilize us just a bit. Here's the track on the leading edge of the severe stuff moving into the city. Bixby and Skiatook pretty much right now, and we're talking a lot of rain and gusty wind. Turley, 631, Broken Arrow, 635, Coweta, 639, German Corner, 642. I've gotten an update, of course, that it looks like Bixby schools, everything's running about 30 minutes late, bus routes, things like that. So very good proactive step there to, because obviously you don't want kids at bus stops in the morning during severe thunderstorms, but at least that circulation threat has weakened just a bit in the metro area. But leading edge gets into parts of Rogers County. Claremore 649, Will Rogers Downs between Claremore and Pryor on Highway 20 at 653, the same right around the airport there. Inola 655, Redbud Marina on Oologah at 657, all the way up to Foyle by about 703. Let's examine our circulation that we've talked about in Okmulgee County that was moving up close to the Twin Hills area along Highway 16. And as we look at velocities, we still see this circulation. It might not be quite as strong as what we saw just a few minutes ago. But again, watchful waiting on this one too as it moves up to the northeast, very close to Twin Hills Elementary. And again, like what we saw moving into Tulsa, as this continues to move to the northeast, it eventually will start to weaken. Laura?
Jinx is also delayed.
Okay, understand Jinx is also delaying bus routes and pickup time again. Thanks to our school administrators for that. It looks like there may be a little bit of a circulation here just to the north of Morris and east of Highway 52. That will be moving to the northeast. Again, as what we see here moves to the east, it's moving into an atmosphere that's just a little less supportive of tornado development, but that doesn't mean the storms are just going to up and quit. They're still going to contain that severe weather threat. So top to bottom here on this line of thunderstorms, severe thunderstorm warning in effect for Tulsa County and pretty much the whole metro area for gusty wind. And we'll watch closely for any kind of spin-up threat, but right now that seems to be down just a little bit. Leading edge here in this warning, we'll take this down into parts of Okmulgee County.
And you guys,
moving to the northeast, and we're looking at Tulsa International Airport by 629. There's Broken Arrow, Haskell, Collinsville, 639, Keatonville Hill, 646. There's the Coweta Sports Park, 649, Inola, 658. Let's clear that off and show you what this looks like outside right now. This is our view as we look down toward the gathering place, and you can see there is just a ton of rain falling across parts of the metro area. This is Jinx and the Creek Turnpike, just to the south of the aquarium. We look at our camera in East Tulsa. The heaviest rain is not quite moved into East Tulsa just yet, but you can certainly see it is wet. Warren Place, same story. We're seeing the thunder and lightning here as we try to look up toward downtown Tulsa, and it's definitely obscured by a lot of that rain too. Tulsa International Airport looks like a Southwest plane trying to get out before this moves in. And we look again at Riverside camera, and that appears to be about the heaviest rain that we have ongoing right now, but that is moving across the city of Tulsa, and you just saw some of that really significant lightning there. So let's zoom right into Tulsa and kind of pick out where some of the heaviest rain is falling to. Good news is, as of right now, no tornado warnings are in effect. This is just a severe thunderstorm warning. I say just, it's a powerful storm, and it is making a mess of our morning drive to work, too. Heavy rain downtown, straight down the river past Turkey Mountain, Jinx, all the way down toward Tulsa Hills as well. And that's that live view there from the camera. located just to the north of the gathering place, looking south along Zinc Lake and the Arkansas River. We're going to see some of this heavy rain just about to start at Fox 23 as we look to the west on our Fox 23 studio camera, and that heavy rain's about to move in too. Some gusty winds. We'll likely see this transition at Tulsa International Airport too. Our marker for Tulsa International Airport is kind of on the terminal building, so that's also where our camera is. So we'll likely see some of that heavy rain roll into and over the airport right now. In fact, I think we're actually seeing that transition take place over. You can see there's our view. And East Tulsa right now, we're up on Memorial Drive, and you can see the rain starting to pick up just a little bit here, and that heavy rain will continue. Let's jump back to reflectivity, and we're still seeing the heaviest rain right now just pushing up into Tulsa International Airport. We go further south in the metro area, heavy rain downtown, Brookside toward ORU. You can see Jinx, there's the PSO plant in Jinx with a heavy rain. Blinding rain along 151st, Highway 67, New Beginnings Church, Bixby. There's Carmichael's Farm, Leonard. This is moving up to the northeast, crossing Leonard Mountain as well. So strong, heavy rain and a lot of wind out of this too. Laura?
Okmulgee police say the power is out, but they do not have damage.
Okay. So and that's something else that we're going to see. You've seen a lot of the lightning activity on our camera views, and that is certainly going to be hitting power lines and transformers, things like that. There's the view from the camera just north of the gathering place on the left side of your screen, and that is just showing the torrential rain that is moving over us. New severe thunderstorm warning right now. We can get an update here, and this one is now clipping Muskogee, Fort Gibson, Kiefton, Shakota, Eufaula, with this part of the line of severe thunderstorms. It is important to note that we have no active tornado warnings in effect, but we do have these severe thunderstorm warnings, and they are definitely with a wind threat, gusty wind and really heavy rain as this moves to the northeast toward Stone Bluff, Boynton, Chaska by 640, Spring Hill 643, Porter. That's in Wagner County at 648, Crecola, Shakota 655, Honor Heights Park on the northwest side of Muskogee, and Muskogee between 655 and 7, Muskogee High School 703, Fort Gibson, and Martin right there, the community of Martin at 710, and that also will get Hilldale High School there on the south side of Muskogee, most likely between about 704 and 705 with blinding rain. Now, it's also worth noting that this is going to be probably a fairly quick hit as this moves across the city. Let me animate this, and not only Tulsa, but everywhere else. You can see this is up and moving pretty good at about 45 to 50 miles per hour. So the heaviest rain will not last too long. We clear that off. Let's go further to the south too as we get into parts of Pittsburgh County. And with that severe thunderstorm warning, that does include McAllister and the western part of Pittsburgh County. Again, gusty wind is the primary threat here. Our team coverage continues. Fox 23 meteorologist Laura Mock, as we see the impact. One more look before I pitch to you. And again, we're looking out in East Tulsa right now in I-44 Memorial Drive, but that heavy rain continues to fall. Might want to put up airport cam too, because that torrential rain is blasting the airport right now.
Yeah, we can go ahead and show that. I do want to emphasize right now, we do not have any tornado warnings currently in effect, but we have a very strong severe thunderstorm crossing the metro right now and other portions of the Fox 23 viewing area. This line of storms stretches basically from southern portions of Osage County right through Tulsa, down through Okmulgee County, and down to the south through Hughes County, and it's going to be moving across the entire area. Goodness, is that airport cam over there? That is airport cam?
Yeah.
You can't see anything. You can't see anything right now. So when we say blinding rain, that is what we mean. Typically, in that shot that you're seeing on the side of your screen, we can see that walkway that you take to the airplane. Typically, we can see airplanes. We can't see anything right there. My goodness. All right. So just to emphasize, we don't have any tornado warnings right now, but we're still tracking these very strong storms moving through because they're affecting us right as kids are trying to get ready for school, as you're trying to get ready for work. Severe thunderstorm warnings across this entire line of storms. The section for Tulsa County, that is in effect until 7 a.m. You've got the section here for Muskogee County. That is also going to be closer to about 7:15, and then you also have it stretching all the way down into Pittsburgh County too. We'll clear that alert off, zoom in a bit closer to the Tulsa Metro, track those storms. Now, keep in mind, while we don't have any tornado warnings right now, we're still keeping an eye out for possible areas of rotation. Thankfully, right now, nothing is strong enough to prompt a warning, but it's still going to be something to monitor for us. So that's why we have two of us right now. I'm telling you what's going on in town, and James is over there keeping an eye on the rotations. For the Tulsa area, the heaviest of the rain now through Skiatook, right through downtown. We're now seeing western portions of Tulsa dry out a little bit, not as heavy of rain. We're right over the airport, East Tulsa, South Tulsa, through Bixby, approaching Broken Arrow, approaching Catoosa, coming into Owasso too. Quick look at the timing of these storms. They're moving pretty quick, so leading edge of this already through a large portion of Tulsa, but this is going to continue off to the northeast. We're going to be seeing that getting into Broken Arrow here in just a few minutes. It's not going to take long at all. Coweta 6:45, Keatonville 6:51, Claremore 7 a.m., and eventually up toward Inola just after 7 a.m. These are very strong storms, and again, we have the potential for a few rotations. I can actually hear the rain on our roof right now coming down quite a bit. Now, while we don't have any rotations, I think if we were to keep an eye on one particular part of this line of storms, I think it would be basically between Haskell and Eufaula. This is where you start to see the line bowing out a little bit more. Sometimes you can get winds coming out of the storms that are just a little bit stronger, and that can prompt a rotation. Now, thankfully, right now, it doesn't seem like we have anything too concerning with that, but it would be probably southwest of Haskell. Yeah. See, this is exactly what I'm talking about. This area where things are starting to bow out, you start looking for small inflection points on that line. And so I think if we were to see anything, it would probably be in this section just south of Haskell. We can come in just a little bit more. What you're going to be looking for are not just where the red and green match, but where those colors start to get a little bit brighter. So southwest of Haskell, this may be one of those spots. This is coming right across the county line from Okmulgee County into Muskogee County, closer to Jamesville. Just to emphasize, this is not a tornado at the moment. It is not tornado warned. We are just keeping an eye out for areas of rotation along the entire line of storms because we have the potential for some of those to strengthen up. Let's zoom out just a little bit more, and I'll try and put a track on this for you just in case, trying to give you a little bit of a heads up with that. And again, these storms are moving very quickly. Southwest of Haskell, if we were to see anything happening, this would just kind of skirt just to the south of Haskell. So let's say for the Haskell track, just about 5 minutes, maybe less. Spring Hill, if we were to see anything happen, 6:51. Porter, just a few minutes before 7 o'clock, eventually into the Castle and Anchor area. So Castle just on the northern side of Muskogee County, just after 7 a.m. Just to emphasize, we don't have that right now, but it's possible. We are under a tornado watch this morning for a large portion of the area until 11 a.m., and that line of storms continues all the way down to the Red River. Back to the radar. We are hearing the rain coming down quite heavy right now at our Fox 23 studios here on Memorial. The rain is coming down. We have a lot of lightning too. I just recently did a track on things, so we'll come back into Tulsa. You can see the heavy rain moving right through town. Overall, you can see some broad rotation. That's just general thunderstorm motions right here, right over Tulsa. Thankfully, I don't think, I can double check it, but I'm not seeing any concerning rotations for the Tulsa Metro right now. So as it stands at this moment, I'm not too concerned about a tornado warning for Tulsa right now. And again, those storms are continuing off to the northeast, going to be moving out of the Tulsa area here pretty quick. Let me come in just a little bit closer and we'll get an even closer look at where we're seeing some of that heavy rain as you're trying to head out the door. So we've got Skiatook just on the north side of our screen here. The heavy rain is coming down. If we were to put the lightning on the screen, you would not be able to see anything underneath it. We have heavy rain through Skiatook, Sperry, Turley, Cross Timbers Marina by the lake. You're about to dry out, but the heavy rain is now into Owasso, right over 169. Michelle's at the St. Jude house there this morning. She's probably in the thick of it right now. Tulsa International Airport getting the rain. We can actually get a quick check of Tulsa International Airport real quick with our cameras, and as we switch over, hey, we can actually see something now. We can actually see the plane, but you can definitely tell it is pouring currently, and we have a lot of lightning across the area too. Let's come back to reflectivity and continue tracking things across the region. Downtown just about to clear out from the heavy rain, but north side of town, so you've got Washington High School in the thick of it. Heaviest of the rain right over 169. If people are on the roads, I don't want to know how driving is right now on 169. 169 is bad enough, and then you put this much rain on top of it, and that turns into a mess. The heaviest of the rain now into Broken Arrow too. We're about to clear out over by Woodland Hills Mall, so Memorial kind of the back edge of that rain. For Broken Arrow, basically south of the Broken Arrow Expressway is where we're seeing the heaviest of it. North of that, you're just starting to see the heavy rain come in. So across county line, you've got Liberty Elementary School about to get the heavier rain, coming into the Creek Turnpike too. NSUBA about to be in the thick of it for a couple minutes, and the heavy rain continues down to the south past Bixby at this point, but moving through Leonard and the highway here, Highway 64, and now moving into Coweta too. So it's been a little bit. Let's get a quick check of velocity here, closer to Haskell, and still looks kind of broad, but we still have to watch this line as it moves through the area. Looks like maybe right about in there, some really weak rotation, but enough of an inflection point that we're going to have to watch. Again, this is going to be approaching the Spring Hill area, Taft, Tallahassee, possibly too. We'll kind of reset real quick, take a look at our conditions. Again, still severe thunderstorm warnings across basically the entire line of these storms. We're going to be stuck with these storms for a couple hours now, all the way through the morning. And don't forget, we have another round that is possible later on this evening. So this is just round one of storms today. Another round expected Saturday too. Chief Meteorologist James Adelot, you're keeping an eye on things as well.
Yeah, in the metro area, the heaviest rain now, at least in Tulsa, is along and east of Highway 169 and north of 244 right now. The rest of the city starting to see that rainfall rate come down. We've not seen any threatening circulations on this line of storms moving through the metro area in quite a while right now, so that's certainly good news. As these storms move progressively east, they should continue to slowly weaken. They're moving into an atmosphere that's not quite as supportive of severe weather as what we saw west of Tulsa, and that's why we've seen that transition into weaker thunderstorms, a little lower rotation rate, and less alarming on some of those rotations. But as we look right into the city of Tulsa, we'll start on the north side of Tulsa, where we still have a lot of pounding rain falling right now, north of Pine Street all the way up to Turley. This is gradually starting to lighten up. You can see TCC Northeast area here on Harvard. That's finally seeing a little drop in rainfall rate. Tulsa International starting to brighten up just a little bit. We get over into parts of East Tulsa, and things are definitely quieting down to the west of Highway 169. We talked about this a few minutes ago. This would be a quick hit. It would move in, blinding rain, thunder, lightning, gusty wind, and then move out. But now all the way over to 129th is kind of the west edge of some of this heaviest rain. But that also means Broken Arrow is getting soaked right now. There's the high school, basically along 193rd and 61st Street, all the way down into the Rose District. Really heavy rain. NSU Broken Arrow on the Creek Turnpike Outer Loop. We go further south into the Arkansas River bottoms. Heavy rain here all the way into Stone Bluff. But again, once you get to Leonard and Bixby, things have quieted down significantly. Let's go further to the south. Haskell, really heavy rain. And this is the area. Notice the orientation of this storm back from northwest to southeast. That would be a spot we would see if we were seeing any rotation. That's most likely where it would be. And we're really not seeing anything too concerning as we look at velocities. That's definitely a good sign for us as we continue to watch this move toward the east. Further south, heavy rain just about to move into Taft. It is moving very close to Wainwright. This is east of Boynton where we still have that blinding rain falling. Let's go further south along that line. Council Hill on Highway 72. Really heavy rain as we get into parts of McIntosh County. It's just about to move over Highway 69. That includes Chakotah and Onapa, Lake Eufaula State Park, and then eventually all the way back down toward Eufaula. Here's the lake too. Let's come back into that strongest part of the storm. Here's Stidham and Lena, really heavy rain falling here. But again, I'm not seeing the circulations that we did earlier, so that is certainly good news. Here's the Hanna area along Highway 52. We get into parts of Pittsburgh County, and the heaviest rain is still to the northwest of McAllister. There's Cabinets just getting on the leading edge of that, and as that continues moving toward the east, here's McAllister, barely raining, if at all, right now, but it's on the way. It is coming, and it will be a strong, maybe even severe thunderstorm. Let me zoom out, and we'll give you some tracks on these storms, too, as they move to the northeast. Gusty wind, heavy rain. Those are the biggest threats from these storms right now, especially the southern edge. It just doesn't look quite as alarming. Eufaula Airport, McAllister by 658. There's Arrowhead State Park, Carlton Landing, number 9 Marina, Eufaula Dam, Enterprise, Counts, Quinton, and Whitefield. Let's erase that track, move to the north, give you a track on that, and then we'll head back to Laura for an update as these storms roll through the metro area. We just about are able to give the all clear for most of the city of Tulsa, just some heavy rain left. As we look toward Muskogee, leading edge of this heavy rain and gusty wind and lightning moving in by about 7:01. Davis Field on the south side of Muskogee, there's the Georgia Pacific plant. Fort Gibson at 7:11. The dam at 7:13 on Fort Gibson Lake. Bragg 7:17, Greenleaf State Park at about 7:22. Gusty wind, that's the primary threat. And of course, this really heavy rain that continues to fall. Updated track on what is moving through the Tulsa area and the leading edge of this all the way down now into Coweta and almost to Taft. And that's going to be moving out of this severe thunderstorm warning polygon soon across the rest of Rogers and Mays County. 655 in Claremore, I mean, it's really close right now. Inola 657, there's the Claremore Airport, Will Rogers Downs by 7:07. Pryor at 7:17, the Rocklahoma grounds north of Pryor at 7:22. Salina just after that at about 7:26. It is moving fast, and that is probably the best news of all. So blinding rain out of this morning in the metro area. Still a lot of light rain left in Tulsa. The roads are wet, and we have heavy rain still on the east side of the metro area, down the Creek Turnpike Outer Loop from Catoosa all the way into the eastern part of Broken Arrow right now. And as Laura said, this is kind of the start. It looks like more rain, more thunderstorms could come our way as we roll into the evening, so we'll watch for a severe weather threat there. And then Saturday evening, Saturday night into Sunday morning, a third round of potential severe storms. Laura?
And I think, and we've been saying Saturday is probably going to be bringing even higher threat of severe weather. This is just a line of storms moving through. We have the potential at times as we go through these next few days for supercell thunderstorms, which bring a slightly different threat. As you take a look at the Fox 23 Doppler radar, we are still tracking just severe thunderstorm warnings across the area. I know I just said just severe thunderstorms. I'm saying that because we don't have any tornado warnings currently in place. We did earlier as this portion of the line was approaching the Tulsa metro, but thankfully those have weakened. I still think there's some spots on this line of storms that we need to monitor, and that's really going to be in the Muskogee County area. But as we bring this forward, we're starting to move into an area where the air is just not quite as supportive for those types of thunderstorms and for that much rotation. So we should be seeing things weakening, but we're still keeping a very close eye. Severe thunderstorm warnings across the area in effect until about 7 or 7:15, depending on where you're at. The main concern at this point is going to be strong winds, gusting at times up to 70 miles per hour, and downpours of rain, blinding rain where you just don't want to be driving through it. Frequent lightning, too. So let's come in a little closer here, and the first place that I want to look at is really going to be, all right, hold on, let me get my workspace back in motion, and that way my buttons work. All right, here we go. Let's pause this And I'm going to zoom in here closer to the line in Muskogee County because that's where we still have the potential for some rotation. Now, right now you're seeing this line here, and wherever we start to see it bow out, that's where at the top side of it we could see a little notch form with some weak rotation. The heavy rain is past Haskell, past Boynton at this point. We are approaching Muskogee, Highway 69, just kind of on the south side of that portion of Muskogee County. We are right on Highway 69. We'll take a quick look at velocity here, not the camera. And this is what I'm talking about. You see these little notches here. That's what we look for. So one of these is going to be basically between Boynton and Muskogee, just to the east of Boynton. This would be tracking toward Muskogee, and another one of those is right on the Wagner County, Muskogee County line. So that's going to be just to the east of Haskell, probably closer to the Porter area. And that is also going to be tracking to the northeast, eventually coming in toward the in the direction of Wagner, the city of Wagner in Wagner County. So again, these are not too strong just yet to prompt tornado warnings, and these rotations are moving into air that is likely going to be weakening these storms. So we're just kind of waiting to see what happens. Hopefully it doesn't strengthen up. We don't think it will, but it's still worth monitoring. So again, Muskogee County, kind of portions of Wagner County on high alert right now as those storms draw closer. We can do a quick track on this. I'll zoom it out just a little bit more, and we'll do a track on that, give you just an updated idea of when the leading edge of this is expected to move in. We'll take that from the Muskogee Turnpike down through Shakota, bring it off to the northeast a bit, and our timing is going to be Rentiesville closer to 6:55. Honor Hearts Park, so that's into Muskogee, 6:58. Into the heart of Muskogee, 7:02. Sequoia Bay on the lake, 7:11. Fort Gibson, 7:12. Bragg's closer to 7:17. But again, that's for a severe thunderstorm warning, not necessarily a tornado warning. We're still tracking this because this is absolutely affecting you as you're trying to head out the door. Strongest of the storm, again, between Shakota, Muskogee, and Coweta. For the Tulsa Metro, we're starting to dry out now. The heaviest of the rain moving out of Skiatook, out of Owasso, still coming into areas like Talala, Claremore, Inola, Coweta, but Broken Arrow calming down. You still have light rain across the metro, but those morning commutes should be a bit easier at this point as the heaviest of the rain is moving out. And again, the air in northeastern Oklahoma here is a lot, it's more stable, meaning as these storms move in, we are less likely to see the storms strengthen up. They should actually be weakening quite a bit. Bigger view, just kind of at the big picture, we'll get in kind of look at the areas off to the south too. These storms stretch from southeast Kansas through central eastern Oklahoma, and it goes all the way down to the Red River too. McAllister also still in severe thunderstorm warnings as well, so we'll get a close look at that. Again, we are all under, not all of us, but many of us south of 412 under a tornado watch, just in case as the storms move through. It's these areas that may actually still have more unstable air in place that we may have to watch. These storms have been a little bit slower to move in, and as we take a closer look at Pittsburgh County, we're going to have to move it around so we get a different radar view. Not seeing anything too concerning in terms of rotation across Pittsburgh County, which is good. Looks like we just had a new severe thunderstorm warning issued, so we'll get a close look at that. And this extends all the way through Rogers County, portions of Craig County, Newata County, Mays County fully included in this, and it also goes into northern Cherokee County too. Let's clear that off, put a track on this. So this is a severe thunderstorm warning. This is, again, continuing off to the northeast at a pretty quick pace. This is going to be in effect until 7:45, so that's just an extension of this of these storms as they move to the northeast. Timing on that for Shoto, 7:11. Pryor, 7:16. Salina, 7:30. Ketchum, closer to 7:48, and Welch, 7:45. So these severe storms continue. Thankfully, we're not seeing any tornado warnings at the moment, but these are still very, very disruptive to your morning commute. Tulsa at this point is in the clear from the severe weather. Those storms are moving out. We are in the clear at least for this morning. The tornado watch goes until 11 a.m., but I want to take you through the radar predictor because there's more storms possible later today. Radar predictor this morning showing the line of storms moving through, so it's doing a pretty good job with our current conditions. 10 a.m. We're still working on getting those storms through here to the east, likely holding on to at least some activity in areas to the south, especially south of I-40. Now, as we transition into the afternoon hours, we could have the possibility of more storms trying to develop. In fact, the radar predictor at 1 o'clock is trying to show us a few more stronger storms trying to develop, kind of on the back edge of these storms that are moving out from the morning. We start to move that out, but watch what happens this evening. As you take a look, 5 o'clock, we're clearing out. We're recharging the atmosphere, getting more sunshine, warmer temperatures, and we have the possibility around 7, 8 o'clock to see more thunderstorms developing, at least in parts of the area. Now, the radar predictor is not going to do a perfect job showing you where these are going to develop. It is possible basically anywhere across green country this evening that we get a second round of severe storms. And then we have another round expected tomorrow with an even higher chance of severe weather. So I'm going to get another quick check at the Doppler radar here, and then I'm going to toss it back over to Chief Meteorologist James Adelot, as he's been looking at things as well. So again, thunderstorms continue just on the south side of Bartlesville. We have much more stable air in this area, so hopefully things should be weakening. We're still watching strong storm moving into Muskogee, and the line continues all the way down into McAllister and just now starting to move into areas in Pittsburgh County. We'll zoom in once more closer to Muskogee, as that has been where we have been seeing signs of rotation trying to happen, even though it's been pretty weak. We'll get a quick check on velocity right there. So southwest side of Muskogee, approaching town, approaching Honor Heights Park, and then another one just crossing the county line here closer to Wagner. These are not strong enough right now to prompt any tornado warnings, but we're still watching them very closely. As we have seen so far this morning, it has been possible. So now we're going to send it back over to Chief Meteorologist James Adelot. We're still tracking severe storms coming through, but Tulsa in the clear now.
Absolutely, just some light rain. We continue to watch streets and highways drain all of that water that came down in that cloudburst that moved over us. This is a look at Warren Place, back up over at La Fortune right now. And you can see skies have definitely brightened up in the city. We still have some light rain falling. The newest severe thunderstorm warning does not include the city of Tulsa, but does clip that northeastern corner of Tulsa County, including Collinsville. But I think that threat is now out of Tulsa County up into Rogers County, but we still have areas of rain that continue to fall. So it has been shifting to the east pretty quickly. Let's update the track on this because we're talking winds, let's see, gusting pretty strongly, maybe up to 70 miles per hour in spots along the leading edge of this as it moves across parts of Wagner County, Rogers County, clips southeastern parts of Nowata County, and gets into Craig County too. These are moving northeast pretty quickly, 50 to 55 miles per hour, which is additional momentum for generating those strong winds. Claremore 657, Wagner 702, Choteau 710. There's Maisie Landing and Pryor, the Rocklahoma grounds. There's Adair at 723. Of course, between, well, let's see, Pryor and Choteau between 710, 715. That's also JL's Barbecue there on Highway 69, south of Pryor. Salina 725. There's Veneta by 735. So it is a severe storm. The rotations that we've seen on it have been much weaker as this whole complex of storms has progressed further toward the east. Let's go further to the south along this line of storms. And again, in Muskogee County, if we were to see anything circulation-wise start to spin up, it would likely be from this segment of storm in Muskogee County. But this also moving to the northeast. We'll put this track at about 50 miles per hour, rolling right into Muskogee right now. Muskogee High School, Hilldale High School at about 702, Fort Gibson 707, there's Eufaula at 708, Weber's Falls Dam at 717, there's Porham Landing all the way toward Cookson and Lake Tenkiller, and Porham at 731, Tailholt to the north side of that track at about 735. We'll clear that off and go further to the south as we continue to watch the south end of this line, moving through parts of Pittsburgh County right now too. So we'll continue to watch that. It might be a little bit more unstable here, as Laura said, which means we'll watch closely for any kind of circulations developing here too. But it looks like this is going to be rolling into McAllister here very soon, 704. Krebs, 708, and we're looking at Pete's Place down there, of course, too. Crowder at 713. There's Hartshorn at 721. Bowers, 730. Quentin and Robbers Cave State Park between 730 and 740. But for now, we're not seeing any kind of significant indications that we have rotation. Let's take a quick look, though, into parts of Pittsburgh County. There's a little rotation southwest of McAllister here, just to the south, kind of southwest of Savannah, so we'll watch that. It's certainly not strong at this point. Let's go further to the north on this line, and especially back into parts of Muskogee County, because the orientation of that line in Muskogee County, that's going to be the most likely spot we would see any kind of additional spin. So there's a little bit of rotation there just on the south side of Muskogee, closer to Davis Field. But again, it looks pretty weak right now. It's kind of in this area. So there's a little bit there, also a little bit to the east of Rentisville. That'll be moving up toward Kiefton too. But remember, as these storms are moving toward the east, they're running out of steam slowly, but they are still quite strong and quite severe and have a lot of gusty wind with them too. The good news is we can give you the all clear in Tulsa and the metro area, but that also includes Broken Arrow, Bixby, Jinx, Owasso, Skiatook, even Collinsville too. The heaviest rain just about to move out. The left side of your screen, those are some of the driving conditions that we are dealing with right now. It looks like approaching I-44 going eastbound on the Broken Arrow Expressway. So that's kind of the driving conditions that we're dealing with in the metro area. We've got a lot of standing water, and of course that's going to put the big slowdown. A lot of people going to run behind. There are a lot of, at least several power outages from lightning strikes, but possibly some wind damage in there too to power lines. We haven't received any reports at all of any significant higher end wind damage other than maybe a tree limb or two down. Trash cans, if today was trash day, that may be a little bit of an adventure for you too, trying to find that trash can. But that's the Cloverleaf connector ramp from Broken Arrow Expressway eastbound to I-44 eastbound, and you can see there is a lot of standing water, but the heavy rain has finally started to end. City of Tulsa all clear from any severe thunderstorm warnings right now, and pretty much all clear from the heavy rain. As Laura said, this is the point which we try to drain this water off. We get a chance to rest, relax, regroup before more strong to severe thunderstorms develop later today, and then again Saturday evening, Saturday night, and possibly lingering into Sunday morning with more severe weather threats. And with this heavy rain today, add in some pockets of heavy rain later this evening, and then heavier rain still Saturday evening, Saturday night into Sunday morning, we will likely add flooding potential to our severe weather impacts, especially as we get into Saturday evening and Saturday night. So this is just the start. It has been a noisy start to your Friday morning, but we've got more severe weather threats on the way, first this evening and then tomorrow evening, tomorrow night, and some of that may linger into our morning on Sunday. But I want to give you another kind of bird's eye view of Tulsa right now as we look up toward Memorial High School from Warren Place over LaFortune Park and toward Key Elementary, and things look much better in Tulsa right now. Remember, all of our severe thunderstorm warnings, at least in the metro area, have expired. There's the view. Laura's going through the cameras real quick. No, that's okay. That's Jinx looking up toward the 91st Street Bridge, up toward Cityplex Towers. We still have some light rain falling, but goodness, things are so much better than they were just a few minutes ago. There's Tulsa, even starting to see an end of the rain approaching Highway 75, downtown Tulsa, and on down toward Jinx. So at point pretty soon, I think, I'll ask Laura, we'll get a little behind the curtain here, we'll go back to a semi-normal morning show.
Yes.
We'll
I think we are planning to do that right around 7:15, so
Okay.
going into like 7:30. We'll go back to our regular news programming, but of course we're still going to have a lot of weather coverage at the same time.
Exactly. So we'll go over and poke Ron and Scott and make sure they're awake, and they get to do a little bit more news coming up here in just a few minutes. But for now,
coffee.
Yeah, they're enjoying a little break. They don't normally get a break at 7:04. But let's check in with Fox 23 meteorologist Laura Mock again. It's a little lighter mood now. The tornado warnings are gone. The severe weather moving to the east and slowly decreasing in intensity.
Thankfully so. We are decreasing the severe activity, but we're still keeping a very close eye on things. As we take a look at the Fox 23 Doppler radar, again, we're going to continue keeping an eye on the radar, and then here in probably 10, 15 minutes, we're going to send it back to the news programming. So as we continue to watch things, Tulsa is drying out now. The strongest of the storms are out of the Tulsa metro. Just some light rain left over, with the strongest of the activity, at least on the northern side of things, right through Rogers County, through Inola, stretching down through Muskogee, and then down to McAllister. So what we can do is we can kind of zoom in and go segment by segment and track this for you. So I'm going to do kind of a wide zoom at first and put a track on this northern section of the storm. As it moves off to the northeast, you will still encounter heavy rain, strong winds along this entire line. Moving to the northeast at a pretty quick pace, we're going to be getting into Pryor at 7:16, Locust Grove 7:22, Spavinaw area 7:39, and eventually into Veneta closer to 7:45. So let's clear that off, zoom in just a little bit more, and we can get a closer look at where we're seeing the heaviest of the rain. So we gave a heads up. Oologah, you are currently in the heavy rain or just about to be on the backside of it as we get another radar sweep here. Talala, you're almost done with the rain too. Heavy rain, lots of lightning. Foyle, you're about to get the heavy rain while Claremore starts to dry out. So along the Will Rogers Turnpike, the worst of it is just past the Claremore exit. Pryor, you are about to get the heavy rain coming in. This is going to be a pretty quick batch of rain as it moves through. It only stretches back down to Tiowa. So when you get the heavy rain, wait it out if you're about to head out on your morning commute. Give it time to pass, and your travel will be so much better. Now looking a little bit farther to the south, 412, the heaviest of the rain between Choteau and Inola. So that's another indication of how condensed the heaviest of the rain and the strongest of the storm is going to be. We continue down south along Highway 69, and we have Maisie about to get some of that rain. Wagner, you're right in the middle of it, but things are about to clear out for you. Just west of you on Highway 51, not even halfway to Coweta, the rain intensity drops off. Now, while we're down here closer to Wagner and Muskogee, I also want to get a quick check of velocity, as we have still been monitoring some spots where you start to get some notches, where you may start to see some circulation. We're not seeing anything very defined with this, which is good news. A lot of this is moving into more stable air, so we are unlikely to see as many strong rotations with this. So we're still keeping an eye on things, but it looks very messy for us there, which is good news, messy with velocity. As you come down a little bit more to the south, you have Fort Gibson, Muskogee about to clear out. Fort Gibson, I'm sure you are just getting the brunt of the storm right now, leading edge of that just coming into town right across the river. Braggs as well, you're going to have some gusty winds with this too. We've had winds at times this morning as high as 65 miles per hour. Some of these storms have been warned for 70-mile-per-hour gusts. We'll get another quick check of velocity while we're down here. And there is just a small spot here to the east of Muskogee, south of Fort Gibson. That's kind of what we'd be looking for. It is there, and it has been there in the last couple scans, but it hasn't been strengthening. But we're still keeping an eye on it. So no tornado warnings again. Right now we'll come back to reflectivity and continue down south along the line. Davis Airport, you're about to clear out here soon. Give it a couple minutes. And then as you go more to the south, you have Warner about to get the rain. Dutchess Landing on the north side of the lake about to get the rain. Shakota, you're right in the middle of it right now, but just give it a little bit of time and things should be clearing out for you. So again, this is all moving to the east. We're going to be dealing with this for a little bit. There's still a tornado watch in effect until 11 a.m. for a large portion of green country. That stretches all the way to the Arkansas state line. So we have all these counties to go through the rest of the morning to monitor the storms. Radar predictor for the rest of today. We have more rounds of storms possible over the next 24, 48 hours, really all the way through the weekend. This morning, the storms are moving east through the region. We've already seen severe weather. We've even seen tornado warnings. We continue this forward through the morning hours, 10 a.m. Areas to the north clearing out, but we may hold on to that rain a little longer for areas south of I-40. And we'll have to watch the potential for some of those to try and strengthen up too, even into the afternoon. We may get some strong south winds coming in that try and strengthen things up in those areas even by early this afternoon. And then This evening is going to be a time frame to watch because the first round of activity moves out, and then in the late afternoon, early evening hours, we could have a few more storms trying to develop. But again, this one is going to depend on how this morning round plays out and how quickly we can move out the rain and get the sunshine back into the area and recharge the atmosphere. So that's another round of storms. There's more expected on Saturday, starting in the afternoon through central Oklahoma and likely affecting us Saturday evening, all the way through Saturday night and Sunday morning too. That's when the flash flooding concern starts to come into play. The flash flood risk for Saturday is going to be at its highest across the Tulsa area, so basically central portions of green country along Highway 75 and stretching down through south central Oklahoma. So not only are we talking about the threat of tornadoes, wind, hail with the storms going into the weekend, we are also concerned about the flash flooding risk, especially Saturday night into Sunday morning. So I just want you to be on guard this weekend. Have your severe weather plan in place. As we've seen this morning, it's good to know where to go in severe weather in case you find yourself under one of those warnings, and you may have to do that again this weekend. So James, we're still keeping an eye on things. Again, Tulsa is clearing out. Conditions look to be getting better across the area, but we're still watching it for the next couple minutes.
Yeah, and then we'll shift focus as we look ahead into the evening and into the weekend too, especially Saturday evening through Sunday morning, as you said. We look outside, of course, things are still very wet, but the heavy rain has moved out of the metro area. There's no additional threat for severe weather this morning in Tulsa, even though we might still get a couple of showers redeveloping. Heaviest of these downpours continue to move off toward the east, where severe thunderstorm warnings remain in effect for parts of Mays and Rogers, Nowata County, and Craig County. Further south along this line, you can see this extends into Cherokee County, where we have new severe thunderstorm warnings that go all the way over to the Arkansas state line. Gusty wind, the primary threat. We're watching closely for any kind of sustained rotation. We've seen a few rotation areas start up a little bit, but not get as strong as what we saw a little earlier around 5:30 to 6:30 this morning. South into McAllister, the heavy rain just about to move in. Again, watching closely, but not seeing sustained areas, pockets of rotation as we check velocity there. Let's take a look again on that wider view. You can see the animation of this. It is plowing to the northeast fast. Tornado warnings earlier today were in parts of Creek and Okmulgee and Okfuskee County, right up to Tulsa County. And as we look ahead to the watches and warnings that we have in effect, you can see all of this is pretty much east now of Highway 75. Severe thunderstorm warnings in Nowata, Craig, and Mays and Rogers, Wagoner County, Cherokee, Adair, Sequoia, Haskell, Muskogee, McIntosh, Pittsburgh County, and also into western Latimer County too. As we talked about, we focus on potential additional severe development this evening. It would be less widespread, more isolated, but the storms that do fire up this evening could be even stronger. Hail, damaging wind, and even the threat of a tornado warning or two. As we look at Saturday evening and Saturday night, we add the flood threat to this scenario because we, at this point, will have had several rounds of heavy rain over the same spots. Ground just can't soak up much more rain once we get to Saturday evening. So as Laura talked about that flood threat, we will add that to our severe weather list on Saturday evening too, but also large hail, damaging wind, and threats of more tornado warnings coming our way Saturday evening and Saturday night. The good news is it does look like nearly all of this will scoot out of eastern Oklahoma, and we'll get a couple of days to have much quieter weather, and that all clear should be by Sunday afternoon. But Saturday evening into Saturday night at this point does look like that highest threat point for us. Let's jump back into our watches, and officially this tornado watch is in effect. That's the pink area, the bigger pink area here on the map. Officially, that tornado watch is in effect until 11 o'clock, but I expect a lot of counties to be cut from that, especially the west edge of that watch. It goes all the way down into Pittsburgh and Latimer County, so Wilburton, McAllister, technically in that severe thunderstorm watch. But again, that threat will end for the morning once this line of thunderstorms clears. And you can see it's already racing to the northeast of Claremore and continuing to move up toward parts of Craig County and southeastern Nowata County. So Veneta, get ready for gusty winds and blinding rain, and that includes anybody along the Will Rogers Turnpike and also the Muskogee Turnpike now between Muskogee and I-40 and along I-40 to the east now of Shakota as that severe thunderstorm cluster continues moving toward the east. Atmosphere east of this line of storms, a little bit more stable than what we have had west of that line, so this very slow weakening trend should continue. We will see more warnings come out as these storms move toward the east too, with winds gusting up close to 70 miles per hour in a couple of spots. Gradually that'll drop as the high-end threat from these storms will slowly start to abate, and the peak winds that these things can generate will drop as well. But again, all clear. Bartlesville, Tulsa metro area, now Okmulgee and Henrietta, we can give the all clear. And we're really close to being able to give you the all clear in Muskogee. We can give you the all clear in Claremore. It's just rain now, with the strongest part of this storm continuing to move toward the south. And as we look further to the south, into parts of Pittsburgh County, still have that severe thunderstorm moving into McAllister right now. Gusty wind and that heavy rain is the primary threat. Since we don't have tornado warnings in effect, but we're continuing to watch it, we'll go back to our normal newscast with Scott and Ron.